Do you ever notice how some people seem naturally confident in front of everyone, as if their certainty is effortless, unshakable, and admired by all? You might look at them and wonder if that kind of confidence is something they are born with, or if it is something you are missing. The truth is far more surprising and far more empowering. Confidence is rarely born in public. It is crafted in private, in moments no one else sees, and in decisions that quietly shape who you are long before the world notices. Think about your own life. How often have you prepared for something in silence, working diligently on skills, habits, and mindset, while no one watched? Those moments, repeated, unseen, and intentional, are where confidence truly forms. It is not developed in applause or praise. It is not built in moments of recognition or attention. Instead, it grows in quiet routines, in self-discipline, and in the ability to trust yourself when no one else is watching. Public confidence is often misunderstood. People assume it is a display of boldness or charisma, when in reality, it is the reflection of countless private choices. Each step taken in silence, each deliberate habit, each small action aligned with intention contributes to a reservoir of inner certainty. By the time you are ready to act in public, that confidence is no longer dependent on the approval of others. It flows naturally from the strength you have cultivated privately. Do you notice how easily public pressure can shake you when your private foundation is weak? When confidence is built on external recognition, a single criticism, a missed opportunity, or a moment of scrutiny can create doubt, hesitation, like an insecurity. That is because public validation is temporary, inconsistent, and beyond your control. True confidence does not rely on the world's applause. It relies on your own preparation, practice, and trust in your abilities. Imagine the countless hours you spend thinking, practicing, failing, learning, and improving without anyone noticing. These are not wasted moments. They are the invisible scaffolding of your confidence, the hidden work that makes you capable of standing tall when attention finally comes. Every repetition, every small improvement, every private challenge strengthens your internal foundation. It is in these private spaces, away from judgment, that confidence becomes durable, steady, and unshakable. Even the most accomplished people you admire did not arrive at their public strength by performing flawlessly from the start. Their confidence was earned in the quiet hours, through discipline, reflection, repeated effort, and the courage to face discomfort without recognition. They practiced when no one was watching. They persisted when no one applauded, and they learned to trust themselves first. That is the silent, often invisible work that transforms private effort into public mastery. You may feel tempted to showcase your efforts before they are ready, to seek validation while building your skills. That impulse is natural, but it can undermine the foundation you are trying to create. Confidence built in public is fragile. Confidence built in private is resilient. By committing to your craft, your habits, and your growth in solitude, you ensure that your presence in public is grounded, authentic, and unshakable. Now consider the difference between the person who practices privately and the one who only performs publicly. One is easily rattled by criticism, constantly seeking approval, and dependent on others to feel capable. The other is calm, deliberate, and self-assured, able to respond to challenges because their strength has been cultivated in quiet, deliberate action. One relies on the world's recognition, while the other relies on their own preparation. Do you realize the power you unlock when you shift your focus inward? When you invest in private growth, consistent habits, and unseen effort, you create a reserve of confidence that no external circumstance can diminish. Public moments then become opportunities to reflect that internal strength, and not test to prove it. Confidence built in private is not performative. It is permanent, unshakable, and silently commanding. The truth is simple, yet profound. The world rarely sees the work that creates greatness. It only sees the results. And if you want your confidence to endure, to withstand scrutiny, and to remain steady under pressure, you must build it where no one is watching. The quiet, unseen work of private effort is where confidence is born, refined, and strengthened. Are you ready to begin building yours in the places that matter most? Chapter 1. The Foundation of Private Confidence. Do you ever watch someone step into a room and feel completely at ease, as if nothing could shake their composure, and wonder how they got that way? You may assume it's natural charisma, luck, or talent, but the truth is far more profound. Confidence, the kind that feels unshakable, almost always originates in private, far away from applause, recognition, or anyone else's approval. It grows in the unseen moments, when you practice, reflect, struggle, and commit without anyone looking. Every confident person you admire has quietly invested in themselves long before anyone noticed. Now, think about your own life. How often have you prepared for a challenge or worked to improve your skills in silence, without anyone's recognition? How often have you chosen to persist when motivation was low, or to act in alignment with your principles when it would have been easier to compromise? These small, unseen actions are the foundation of true confidence. Each deliberate choice you make in private reinforces your belief that you can rely on yourself. The world may never witness the hours you put in, but that does not diminish their impact. It is natural to desire acknowledgement. Humans are wired to seek validation, and it feels reassuring when others notice our effort. But when you rely on external recognition to feel confident, you surrender control of your self-assurance to factors outside yourself. Public praise is fleeting. The approval of others is inconsistent and unpredictable. Confidence built on such fragile foundations is temporary and easily shaken. Private confidence, in contrast, is anchored in your own actions, discipline, and trust in yourself. Every time you choose to work quietly, to prepare meticulously, and to improve without fanfare, you are reinforcing your internal authority. Each private act of effort, no matter how small, tells your mind and body, I can trust myself, I am capable, I can handle what comes. This internal proof does not require witnesses, applause, or acknowledgement. It is durable because it is self-generated, and it compounds over time, becoming an unshakable source of assurance that shows up effortlessly when needed. Consider how often hesitation or self-doubt emerges in public. It usually appears when your private foundation is weak. When you rely on performance or external validation to feel capable, a single misstep or criticism can trigger insecurity, self-consciousness, and hesitation. You second-guess yourself because you have not invested enough in the private development that builds trust in your own abilities. On the other hand, when your confidence has been cultivated privately, you step into public spaces with clarity and poise, able to act decisively regardless of scrutiny. The process begins with awareness. You need to recognize the moments in your daily life where your private effort shapes your capacity. It might be waking up early to practice a skill, reviewing your past mistakes, or reflecting on how to approach challenges differently. It could be physical training, journaling, learning quietly, or deliberately facing a fear in solitude. Every action like this, repeated consistently, strengthens the internal scaffolding of confidence. You may not notice its effect immediately, but each step contributes to the structure that will support you in public moments. Discipline is essential to this process. Private confidence is strengthened when you act consistently, even when you do not feel motivated. It is the ability to show up for yourself when no one else does. Each time you follow through on a commitment to yourself, you teach yourself that your reliability does not depend on external encouragement. Over time, these habits build proof that you can count on yourself, and trust in your own capability is the core of confidence. Small repeated actions are deceptively powerful. Practicing in solitude, refining your skills, preparing mentally for challenges, and facing discomfort privately may seem inconsequential day to day, but they create momentum. This momentum translates into effortless capability when you act in public. By the time others witness your confidence, it has already been earned through countless unseen moments. You cannot fake it. True confidence is always the result of prior private work. Reflection is another critical element. When you analyze your experiences quietly, you identify areas of growth, recognize patterns, and adjust your approach without judgment. Reflection allows you to correct mistakes and refine your abilities, which ensures that each private action strengthens your competence. This is not done for recognition, but for self-mastery. Each insight gained in solitude increases your internal authority and reinforces your trust in your own judgment. Resilience also grows in private. When you face discomfort, setbacks, or fear alone, you develop the ability to handle uncertainty. You learn that failure is not catastrophic, but informative. You learn to recover, adapt, and continue without needing external validation. By training yourself to persist in the absence of recognition, and you cultivate a confidence that cannot be shaken by criticism or unpredictable circumstances. Notice how public confidence differs when it is supported by private effort versus when it is built on external approval. One wavers under scrutiny, dependent on the reactions of others, while the other remains steady, calm, and authoritative. That steadiness is not a product of luck. It is a product of countless hours of private effort. You cannot bypass this work and expect confidence to appear magically. It must be cultivated where it is unseen, nurtured in solitude, and reinforced through discipline, reflection, and persistence. Finally, private confidence allows for authenticity. When you trust yourself, you no longer feel the need to perform for others. You can act, speak, and decide in alignment with your principles because your self-assurance does not rely on external validation. This authenticity is magnetic, respected, and enduring. The quiet power of confidence thrives in those who have learned to cultivate it away from attention, in places where effort, reflection, and discipline are consistent and unseen. Every confident action you perform publicly is the result of private investment. Hours of practice, disciplined habits, reflection, and resilience building that no one else may ever witness. Recognizing this, you begin to value private effort not as preparation for recognition, but as the ultimate source of unshakable confidence. The more time and effort you dedicate to cultivating yourself in private, the more effortless and enduring your confidence becomes in public. Now, think about how much energy is lost chasing approval, seeking recognition, or performing for others. Imagine redirecting that energy into private preparation, silent reflection, and deliberate action. Every small effort compounds, every habit strengthens, and every moment of self-trust builds a foundation that no external circumstance can erode. This is the secret. Confidence is not earned on stage. It is built in private. Do you feel ready to begin cultivating your own foundation of private confidence? To commit to the unseen work that transforms doubt into certainty, hesitation into decisiveness, and insecurity into calm authority? Every moment you invest quietly in yourself strengthens your ability to show up fully and unshakably in public. The journey begins now, and the results, though silent at first, will become undeniable in every action you take. Chapter 2. The invisible habits that shape you. Do you realize that the most influential aspects of your confidence are rarely visible to anyone else? The habits that shape your self-assurance, your decision-making, and your internal authority are often unnoticed, silent, and private. Yet these invisible habits are the real architects of confidence. They determine how you respond under pressure, how you navigate challenges, and how you trust yourself when no one else is watching. Think about your daily routines. How often do you take deliberate actions that reinforce competence, even if no one else sees? Perhaps you spend time reflecting on your decisions, refining your skills, or practicing small but meaningful behaviors that make you stronger. Each of these efforts may feel insignificant in isolation, yet collectively, they create a deep reservoir of trust in yourself. This is the kind of confidence that cannot be shaken by criticism, setbacks, or uncertainty. Notice how often people focus on visible achievements as indicators of confidence. Promotions, recognition, public speaking, accolades. These are outcomes, not foundations. Without the invisible work that precedes them, these moments are fragile. Confidence that relies solely on public recognition is temporary. It can crumble when external validation disappears. Invisible habits, on the other hand, create internal proof that you are capable, consistent, and resilient. Private habits are built in the small, consistent choices you make every day. Showing up when motivation is low, completing tasks without attention, practicing skills quietly, or maintaining discipline in your routines. All these habits are reinforcing your ability to trust yourself. Each repetition strengthens the mental pathways that support calm, deliberate, and self-assured action. Over time, these habits create a feedback loop that continuously builds your confidence. Consider the way hesitation creeps in when your habits are inconsistent. You doubt your ability, procrastinate, or overanalyze because your mind has not been trained to rely on reliable, repeated effort. By cultivating invisible habits, you develop an internal system that automatically supports action, reduces self-doubt, and increases your ability to handle uncertainty. Confidence begins to feel effortless because it is backed by the certainty of preparation. Reflection is one of the most powerful invisible habits. When you review your actions, analyze mistakes, and identify areas for improvement in private, you are reinforcing your self-trust. Reflection allows you to learn without external judgment, process challenges with clarity, and refine your approach in ways that remain internal yet deeply impactful. This self-guided feedback strengthens your internal authority and ensures that your confidence is resilient, not performative. Discipline is equally crucial. When you commit to tasks, practice, or personal growth, even when no one else will notice, you signal to yourself that your reliability does not depend on external approval. Each private act of consistency is proof that you can rely on your own judgment, endure challenges, and follow through. Over time, these habits form a foundation that makes public challenges feel manageable and natural. Invisible habits also allow you to embrace discomfort safely. By repeatedly facing small challenges privately, you teach yourself that uncertainty is navigable and setbacks are temporary. Each encounter with discomfort strengthens resilience and reinforces the understanding that confidence is built in action, not in avoidance. The more you engage privately with challenges, the less external circumstances can destabilize your composure. Notice how often distraction and inattention prevent habit formation. It is easy to postpone self-development, to prioritize immediate pleasure, or to avoid effort when no one else is observing. Yet every moment of avoidance delays the accumulation of proof that you are capable. Each private habit, no matter how small, compounds to create the steady, unshakable confidence that silently guides your actions. Consider the people you admire for their poise and self-assurance. What sets them apart is rarely performance. It is the invisible preparation, reflection, and disciplined practice they have invested in private. Their confidence appears effortless because it has been built silently over time, independent of external approval. Their public presence is simply the visible reflection of an internal, unshakable foundation. Another invisible habit is intentional learning. Reading, observing, experimenting, and reflecting without immediate reward or recognition strengthens your internal authority. Every new insight, skill, or understanding compounds with your existing foundation, in providing tools to act decisively when the moment arises. This unseen accumulation of knowledge and competence is a critical driver of confidence that no one else can grant you. Self-awareness is equally essential. Recognizing your triggers, patterns, and recurring doubts allows you to address them privately before they manifest publicly. Each act of awareness reinforces your internal stability, giving you the ability to act calmly and decisively, even under pressure. Confidence grows when you understand yourself deeply and consistently respond from a place of clarity rather than reaction. Ultimately, invisible habits shape the person you are when no one is watching, and that person becomes the version of you that operates effortlessly in public. Every moment you invest in disciplined action, reflection, learning, and self-awareness adds to the silent foundation that supports visible confidence. The more consistent you are in cultivating these habits, the more resilient, steady, and authentic your confidence becomes. Do you notice the difference between someone who prepares privately and someone who relies solely on public performance? One wavers with criticism, one thrives because they have built their strength quietly. By committing to invisible habits, you ensure that your confidence is grounded, independent, and enduring. Each private effort is a step toward becoming the person capable of responding to any situation with poise, clarity, and authority. The silent truth is that confidence is always earned long before it is displayed. Invisible habits are not flashy, but they are indispensable. They quietly mold your ability to act, decide, and respond with clarity under pressure. Each day, each repetition, and each moment of deliberate private effort builds a reservoir of unshakable confidence that surfaces naturally when it matters most. Now take a moment to reflect on your own daily routines. Which habits are contributing to your private growth? Which actions, if repeated consistently, could build the internal authority that allows you to face the world with calm assurance? The work you do quietly in private is the invisible scaffolding of your confidence, the foundation upon which every public display of strength will rest. Chapter 3: Mastering the Art of Silent Progress. Do you realize how often you look for visible signs of success or approval, measuring your confidence by how others react to you? That is a common trap, but it ignores a fundamental truth. The most significant growth occurs in silence, away from observation. True confidence is cultivated through consistent, deliberate progress that no one else sees. It is built not in applause, but in the steady accumulation of skills, habits, and self-trust. Consider your daily routines. How often do you practice, reflect, or push your limits without external validation? Perhaps you are learning a new skill, improving your mental focus, or quietly confronting fears that have held you back. Each private effort strengthens the foundation of your confidence. Over time, these unseen actions compound, creating an internal authority that is resilient and unshakable. Public recognition is temporary, but the confidence built in private endures. Silent progress requires patience and commitment. And you may not notice immediate changes or receive praise for your efforts, but each step forward matters. It is the cumulative effect of small, deliberate actions that transforms ability into confidence. Every time you persist despite discomfort, resist procrastination, or maintain discipline when no one is watching, you are reinforcing the belief that you can rely on yourself. You might wonder why silent progress is so powerful. It is because it trains your mind to trust in your own capabilities, independent of external validation. When confidence is rooted in private effort, it becomes self-sustaining. You no longer need others to affirm your abilities. You already know your capacity to act, learn, and adapt. This internal proof is the bedrock of enduring confidence. Reflection is a critical component of silent progress. By reviewing your actions, analyzing outcomes, and identifying areas for improvement, you create a feedback loop that accelerates growth. Reflection does not require public acknowledgement or approval. It is a private dialogue that sharpens your judgment, reinforces your learning, and strengthens your self-trust. Consistency is equally important. Progress achieved in bursts or sporadically does not create the same depth of confidence as sustained effort. When you commit to consistent, deliberate practice, you build patterns that your mind and body internalize. These patterns form the automatic mechanisms of competence that emerge naturally in public settings, allowing you to act decisively, calmly, and confidently. Do not underestimate the role of challenge in silent progress. Confidence grows when you face obstacles privately, learning to navigate discomfort and uncertainty. Each challenge you meet without attention or recognition strengthens resilience. You prove to yourself that you can handle adversity, adapt to unexpected situations, and maintain composure. This resilience is invisible, yet it is the core of lasting confidence. Another aspect of silent progress is humility. By focusing on growth rather than recognition, you avoid the distractions of ego or comparison. Your energy is devoted to improving yourself, not seeking validation from others. This mindset ensures that your confidence is authentic, grounded in capability, and not dependent on the fluctuating opinions of the world. Notice how often visible accomplishments can mask fragile confidence. A public display of success may impress others, but without a foundation of private progress, it is vulnerable to doubt, criticism, or unexpected setbacks. Silent progress ensures that your abilities are real, tested, and internalized. Confidence becomes a natural byproduct of consistent private work, not a performance staged for attention. Self-discipline is central to mastering silent progress. Every time you adhere to routines, practice skills, or confront personal challenges without recognition, you reinforce trust in your own consistency. This self-reliance is the quiet engine of confidence, allowing you to act decisively even in high-pressure situations. You know you can rely on your preparation and judgment, and that assurance radiates subtly yet powerfully in public. Silent progress also fosters adaptability. By working privately, experimenting, and learning from mistakes without external pressure, you develop the ability to adjust your approach as needed. You understand that growth is not linear, setbacks are part of the process, and mastery is earned through persistence. This adaptability reinforces confidence because you trust your ability to respond effectively regardless of circumstances. Consider how your public persona is shaped by your private work. Every measured action, every calm decision, and every confident interaction reflects hours, days, and years of unseen effort. Your growth, your skills, and your resilience are silently woven into every aspect of how you present yourself. The world sees the results, but the real work is internal, invisible, and continuous. Finally, silent progress cultivates patience. Confidence built privately is steady, because it does not rely on immediate results or recognition. You learn to value the process, embrace the incremental improvements, and trust that your efforts will yield long-term results. This patience allows you to remain composed under pressure, confident in your abilities, and resilient in the face of challenges. Now, reflect on your own life. How much of your growth is happening in private? Which skills, habits, or challenges could you focus on silently, without seeking recognition or approval? Every private action you take strengthens the foundation of your confidence. Over time, these unseen efforts accumulate, producing a calm, unwavering authority that will surface naturally when you face public challenges. The silent truth is that confidence is earned, not displayed. It is crafted in private, shaped by consistent effort, reflection, resilience, and patience. As the more you commit to silent progress, the stronger your internal foundation becomes, and the more effortlessly it manifests when it matters most. Chapter 4. Discipline over motivation. Do you notice how often you wait for the right mood or perfect timing before taking action? You tell yourself that confidence will appear when inspiration strikes, when conditions are ideal, or when someone else acknowledges your effort. But here's the truth. Motivation is fleeting. It is unreliable, inconsistent, and often absent when you need it most. True confidence, the kind that endures silently, is built on discipline, not motivation. Discipline is the bridge between your intentions and your results. It is the choice to act, even when enthusiasm is low, energy is waning, or doubt creeps in. Every moment you commit to doing the work in private, regardless of how you feel, strengthens your internal authority. Motivation may give you a push, but discipline carries you forward consistently. Confidence grows quietly through repeated acts of self-reliance and persistence, not through sporadic bursts of inspiration. Consider the habits in your own life. How many times have you avoided action because you didn't feel ready? Perhaps you postponed practicing a skill, avoided confronting a challenge, or delayed decisions because conditions weren't perfect. Each postponement chips away at trust in yourself. Conversely, when you act consistently, showing up every day, completing tasks, facing discomfort, you reinforce proof that you can rely on yourself. This proof forms the invisible scaffolding of confidence, and discipline also trains your mind to embrace discomfort. Confidence is not the absence of fear, doubt, or uncertainty. It is the ability to act in spite of them. When you cultivate discipline in private, you teach yourself that discomfort is temporary, manageable, and a natural part of growth. Each time you persist without external acknowledgement, you expand the boundaries of what you believe is possible. Notice how easy it is to overestimate motivation and underestimate the value of consistent effort. Motivation feels rewarding, but it is unreliable. Discipline may feel tedious, even mundane, but it creates a reliable mechanism for progress. It is the engine of confidence that runs quietly behind the scenes, powering every decisive action, every calm response, and every visible display of poise. Discipline in private is also deeply empowering. When you commit to habits and actions without needing recognition, you gain control over your growth. Your progress becomes independent of external factors, and your confidence is no longer tied to approval or attention. You cultivate a steady, unshakable trust in your abilities, one that allows you to act decisively in public, regardless of circumstances. Another essential aspect of discipline is consistency. Confidence is not built through occasional effort, but through repeated, deliberate actions over time. Each day you adhere to your routines, confront challenges, and practice your craft. You add layers of strength to your internal foundation. Over months and years, these habits accumulate into a silent yet formidable reservoir of confidence. Reflection amplifies the impact of disciplined action. By reviewing your efforts, evaluating outcomes, and adjusting strategies, you transform repetition into growth. Reflection ensures that your discipline is purposeful, reinforcing your capabilities and strengthening your internal authority. You learn to trust not only your effort, but your judgment, creating a cycle of confidence that is self-sustaining. Do you realize how many people rely on motivation alone, waiting for inspiration to strike? They may have talent, potential, or opportunity, yet their confidence falters because it is dependent on feelings rather than habits. By contrast, when you prioritize discipline, you develop a quiet, reliable competence that endures even in the absence of motivation. You are no longer swayed by moods or circumstances. You act because your internal system of self-trust is unwavering. Discipline also builds resilience. When you face setbacks or challenges privately, you persist through adversity without seeking validation or reward. Each act of perseverance reinforces the understanding that your confidence is not contingent on comfort or external factors. You internalize the lesson that you can overcome obstacles, adapt to change, and maintain composure under pressure. Now reflect on the difference between acting from motivation and acting from discipline. Motivation is fleeting, inconsistent, and unreliable. Discipline is constant, deliberate, and self-sustaining. By committing to disciplined practice, consistent effort, and deliberate action, you cultivate a confidence that no circumstance, critique, or challenge can diminish. You create an internal authority that underpins every decision, every interaction, and every action. Finally, consider the long-term effects of disciplined action. Each effort, though invisible in the moment, compounds over time. Skills improve, resilience grows, and self-trust solidifies. By the time the world notices, your confidence appears effortless, natural, and unshakable. Yet the real work remains private. The repeated choices, the persistent effort, and the discipline that builds proof of your ability without external recognition. The silent truth is this: motivation can spark action, but discipline builds unshakable confidence. By prioritizing consistent, deliberate effort in private, you create a foundation that will carry you through challenges, amplify your competence, and allow you to act decisively in any situation. The quiet power of confidence emerges not from fleeting inspiration, but from relentless, disciplined practice and self-reliance. Chapter 5: Facing Fear in Private. Do you notice how fear has a way of showing up at the most inconvenient moments? It creeps into your thoughts, clouds your judgment, and paralyzes action. But here's something most people miss. Fear is not an obstacle to confidence. It is a tool, and how you engage with it in private determines whether you develop quiet, unshakable strength. Confidence is built not in the absence of fear, but in how consistently you confront it away from the spotlight. Think about the fears that have held you back. Maybe it is the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, or the fear of looking inadequate in front of others. These fears often feel magnified in public because your attention is split between the task and what others might think. But in private, fear can be approached safely, without distraction or pressure. Every time you confront a fear quietly, you train yourself to respond with calm, clarity, and control rather than reaction. Facing fear in private is about deliberate exposure. You put yourself in situations that challenge your comfort zone, not to impress anyone, but to test and strengthen your own resilience. Perhaps you rehearse conversations alone, practice a difficult skill repeatedly, or intentionally take small risks that stretch your abilities. Each of these acts reinforces your capacity to act decisively, even when uncertainty is present. Do you notice how many people avoid private confrontation with fear? They wait for circumstances to force them into discomfort or hope fear will dissipate on its own. But avoidance weakens confidence. Every missed opportunity to face fear quietly is a missed chance to reinforce trust in yourself. By embracing fear in private, you reclaim control over it, turning it from a source of doubt into a source of empowerment. Reflection amplifies the effect of private fear management. After encountering fear, take time to review your response. Did hesitation creep in? Did doubt influence your action? Were you able to persist despite discomfort? Reflecting on these moments allows you to learn, adjust, and refine your strategies. Each reflection reinforces the understanding that you can handle fear and uncertainty without needing external reassurance. Facing fear privately also cultivates resilience. When you repeatedly engage with discomfort alone, you learn that uncertainty is temporary, challenges are manageable, and setbacks are not catastrophic. You develop a mental framework that supports action even when circumstances are unpredictable. This resilience is invisible yet powerful, forming the backbone of confidence that can withstand public scrutiny. Notice how silent preparation for fear changes your public presence. When you confront fear privately, It loses its power to destabilize you in public. You act from a place of practice, not panic. Decisions become more deliberate, responses become calmer, and hesitation diminishes. The quiet work done behind the scenes manifests as effortless confidence in moments that matter most. Consistency is key. Facing fear sporadically will not produce lasting confidence. But you must engage with challenges regularly, deliberately, and without reliance on external validation. Each small act compounds, strengthening your internal authority and reinforcing trust in your ability to navigate uncertainty. Over time, this disciplined confrontation with fear produces a calm, assured presence that feels natural rather than forced. Do you realize how much energy is wasted worrying about potential judgment or failure in public? Every thought spent imagining worst-case scenarios is energy that could be used in private preparation. By investing that energy into facing fear quietly, you convert uncertainty into competence. You learn that fear is not an enemy, but a signal, an opportunity to develop mastery over yourself. Another dimension of facing fear privately is experimentation. Try new approaches, test strategies, and observe results without the pressure of public expectation. Experimentation allows you to fail safely, learn rapidly, and adjust intelligently. Each private experiment builds knowledge and reinforces internal confidence, creating a silent foundation that supports decisive action when visibility is high. You may also notice the psychological shift that occurs over time. As you repeatedly engage with fear in private, your nervous system adapts. Anxiety diminishes, hesitation fades, and your threshold for discomfort increases. This physiological and mental adaptation is invisible, but directly translates into increased composure, focus, and resilience in public. Finally, private confrontation with fear fosters autonomy. You develop confidence that is self-generated, not dependent on approval, reassurance, or guidance from others. You learn to trust your instincts, make decisions independently, and act with authority because you have repeatedly proven to yourself that you can handle uncertainty. This self-reliance is the quiet engine of enduring confidence. Every public moment of bravery, decisiveness, or composure you exhibit is supported by countless private moments where fear was faced and managed without recognition. This unseen work forms the foundation for effortless confidence. The more consistently you face fear in private, the more natural your public confidence becomes, and the more unshakable your presence appears to the world. Now reflect on your own fears. Which of them could you confront quietly, deliberately, and repeatedly without the need for acknowledgement? Each private encounter will strengthen your resilience, reinforce your self-trust, and then silently build the unshakable confidence that underpins every visible act of authority, poise, and competence. Chapter 6. The Power of Small, Consistent Actions. Do you realize how often you underestimate the impact of small actions repeated over time? You may think that only grand gestures or dramatic achievements build confidence, but the truth is far more subtle and far more powerful. Confidence grows in the accumulation of consistent, deliberate acts performed quietly, without fanfare or recognition. These small, private actions are the bricks that build the unshakable foundation of self-assurance. Think about the habits in your daily life. How often do you take steps to improve yourself that no one else notices? Perhaps it is practicing a skill for a few minutes each day, journaling your thoughts, reflecting on your choices, or addressing a small fear. Individually, these actions may seem insignificant, but repeated over time, they produce profound effects. Each act reinforces the understanding that you can rely on yourself and that trust is the core of lasting confidence. Small actions have a compounding effect. Just as tiny deposits in a bank account grow into a substantial sum, the habits you cultivate quietly accumulate into competence and self-trust. Each effort reinforces the previous one, strengthening the internal scaffolding that supports confidence. The more consistently you act in private, the less dependent you become on external validation to feel capable. Notice how often people wait for perfect conditions or the right moment to act. They postpone growth, believing that confidence comes from circumstance, recognition, or external approval. But confidence built in this way is fragile. Small, consistent actions taken in private bypass those conditions. They provide a reliable, self-sustaining pathway to mastery and self-assurance, independent of external factors. Consider the impact of repetition. Every time you engage in deliberate practice, push through discomfort, or commit to your goals privately, you reinforce neural pathways that strengthen your competence. Over time, this builds automaticity. Skills and behaviors become second nature. By the time a public challenge arises, your response is smooth, confident, and grounded because it has been rehearsed and reinforced in private. Consistency also builds resilience. Each small action taken in private demonstrates your ability to persist in the absence of reward or recognition. You learn that progress is not dependent on applause or acknowledgement. This understanding transforms challenges from threats into manageable situations. When setbacks occur, you approach them with calm, knowing that your confidence is rooted in your preparation, not in external validation. Do you notice how effortless public confidence appears in those who have practiced privately? It is not luck, charm, or natural talent. It is the result of countless small, deliberate actions performed consistently over time. Each public display of composure, decisiveness, or authority is simply the visible outcome of sustained private work. Confidence becomes effortless because it is deeply ingrained, not superficial or performative. Reflection enhances the effect of small, consistent actions. By reviewing your efforts and analyzing outcomes privately, you gain insight into what works, what needs adjustment, and how to optimize your approach. This self-guided feedback loop reinforces your internal authority, ensuring that your confidence is not just a habit, but a skill strengthened through awareness and deliberate improvement. Small actions also encourage humility. Because their impact is not immediately visible, you learn to value process over recognition. You prioritize growth over attention, discipline over approval. This mindset ensures that your confidence is authentic, resilient, and enduring. You act from capability, not from the desire to impress, and that authenticity is quietly magnetic. Notice the power of compounding over months and years. A single private habit may seem inconsequential, but when maintained consistently, it builds momentum. Your skills improve, your judgment sharpens, and your self-trust deepens. This momentum reduces hesitation, mitigates fear, and creates a steady internal confidence that radiates naturally in public. Another dimension is preparation. Each small private action prepares you for circumstances you have not yet faced. By engaging consistently, you build a store of competence, knowledge, and resilience that allows you to respond effectively to unforeseen challenges. You are no longer caught off guard. Your confidence is grounded in preparation and repeated practice. Self-discipline and small, consistent actions are intertwined. The more you commit to private, deliberate effort, the more discipline becomes habitual. Discipline ensures that your actions are reliable, even in the absence of motivation or external pressure. In turn, this reliability reinforces your trust in yourself, which is the essence of confidence built quietly over time. Finally, reflect on how small, consistent actions can transform your perception of what is possible. Each act, each repetition, and each deliberate choice expands your capacity to act, endure, and grow. The work is invisible, but its impact is profound. Confidence built this way is permanent, resilient, and silent, emerging naturally when you need it most. Now consider your own habits. Which small actions can you commit to today and repeat consistently to build the foundation of unshakable confidence? Each choice, performed quietly and deliberately, is a step toward mastery, self-trust, and the silent power that will allow you to navigate life with poise and authority. Chapter 7. Building trust in yourself. Do you realize how often self-doubt undermines your confidence? Even the most capable people hesitate when they lack trust in their own judgment. Public recognition, validation, or success cannot substitute for the internal assurance that comes from consistently proving to yourself that you are capable. Confidence is born from repeated private choices that demonstrate, beyond doubt, that you can rely on yourself. Think about the decisions you make every day, many of which go unnoticed by anyone else. Each choice, no matter how small, creates proof of your reliability. When you follow through on commitments, act deliberately, and honor your own standards, you are reinforcing the foundation of trust in yourself. This self-trust is the bedrock of confidence, stronger than external approval, luck, or charisma. Notice how often hesitation arises in public. It is rarely caused by lack of knowledge or skill. It is usually the absence of trust in your ability to handle the situation. When you cultivate trust privately, however, hesitation diminishes because your actions are backed by repeated evidence of competence. Confidence is not a performance. It is the natural outcome of consistent self-reliance. Private trust building requires reflection and honesty. You must evaluate your past choices, acknowledge both successes and failures, and learn from them. Each instance of accurate judgment or disciplined action reinforces your belief in your capacity. Every lesson learned strengthens your internal authority and reduces reliance on external validation. Consider how self-trust affects resilience. When challenges arise, people who rely on external recognition may crumble under pressure, fearing judgment or failure. In contrast, those who have built trust in themselves approach adversity with calm, deliberate action. They understand that they have prepared, learned, and persevered in private, and that preparation sustains them when visibility increases. The accumulation of private victories is subtle, but powerful. Every time you face difficulty, act decisively, or honor a commitment when no one is watching, you are strengthening your internal framework. Over time, this framework becomes so reliable that public confidence flows naturally. Your poise, calm, and decisiveness are the visible reflections of countless invisible moments of self-proven competence. Trust in yourself also requires discipline. Consistent effort, even when motivation fades, reinforces the understanding that your abilities are dependable. Discipline and self-trust are intertwined. The more you act reliably, the more you trust your capacity to act. Over time, this creates a steady, unshakable sense of confidence that is independent of recognition or applause. Facing challenges privately is another critical factor. Each risk taken, each problem solved, and each fear confronted without observation strengthens your internal authority. You learn that failure is not final, that mistakes are opportunities for growth, and that persistence produces competence. This resilience, built in solitude, becomes the silent engine of public confidence. Notice the subtle but profound shift that occurs when self-trust is established. Decisions are made with clarity, actions are executed with calm, and doubt has less influence over behavior. Public moments no longer test your confidence, they simply reveal the strength you have already cultivated internally. The presence of trust allows you to act decisively because you know, through repeated private proof, that you are capable. Reflection enhances trust further. By reviewing experiences, identifying what worked, and adjusting strategies, you continuously refine your judgment. Reflection ensures that your confidence is grounded in competence, not wishful thinking. Every private evaluation reinforces the belief that you can handle future challenges with composure and skill. Small, consistent actions feed trust in yourself. Each habit maintained, skill practiced, or fear confronted is a demonstration that you can rely on your own judgment. Over time, these repeated demonstrations build an unshakable internal authority, allowing public confidence to emerge effortlessly. The silent work done privately is the unseen force behind every visible act of competence and composure. Self-trust also nurtures authenticity. When you are confident in your ability to act independently, you no longer feel the need to perform for others. Decisions, behavior, and presence are aligned with your principles, not dictated by the desire to impress. This alignment creates a quiet, compelling confidence that resonates naturally with others and cannot be easily shaken. Finally, reflect on your own life. Which actions have consistently proven your reliability to yourself? Which habits, choices, or practices build trust in your own judgment? Every private act of self-reliance strengthens your internal authority, making public confidence effortless and unshakable. True confidence is not learned on stage. It is earned in private through repeated proof of your capability. The silent truth is this: you cannot rely on external validation to sustain confidence. Self-trust is the essential foundation. By cultivating consistent private effort, reflection, and deliberate action, you prove to yourself that you are capable, resilient, and reliable. This internal assurance will carry you through challenges, allow you to act decisively, and manifest as the quiet, unshakable confidence that the world recognizes as mastery. Chapter 8. The role of preparation in confidence. Do you notice how uncertainty often creates hesitation? When how small doubts can grow into hesitation, self-questioning, and inaction? The reason is simple. When you step into a situation unprepared, your mind searches for proof of competence. Confidence falters because you have not yet created internal evidence of capability. Preparation in private is the antidote. True confidence emerges not from luck, charisma, or inspiration, but from deliberate, consistent preparation done away from the spotlight. Consider your daily routines and planning. How often do you review tasks, anticipate challenges, or rehearse strategies in private? Each act of preparation reinforces your competence. Even if no one sees the effort, your mind and body register readiness. You are building a mental toolkit that allows you to respond effectively to challenges, think clearly under pressure, and act decisively when circumstances demand it. Preparation is not merely about gathering knowledge or information. It is about internalizing processes, practicing skills, and testing scenarios privately. By rehearsing, experimenting, and refining in solitude, you create a foundation that supports confident action. When you finally engage publicly, your responses are not reactive. They are informed, practiced, and deliberate. Confidence appears effortless because it is rooted in consistent, unseen work. Notice how often people underestimate the power of preparation. They assume talent or motivation alone will suffice, waiting for circumstances to force them to act. But without preparation, competence is fragile, hesitation is inevitable, and performance suffers. By contrast, those who prepare privately have rehearsed challenges, anticipated obstacles, and built resilience. Their confidence is not dependent on external factors, it is anchored in readiness. Discipline enhances preparation. Committing to deliberate practice, consistent review, and systematic planning ensures that your internal foundation is robust. Each step of preparation, repeated over time, strengthens your ability to trust yourself. You begin to understand that your judgment, knowledge, and skills are reliable, independent of external acknowledgement. This trust transforms uncertainty into assurance. Reflection is a vital part of preparation. After engaging in private rehearsal or analysis, you review outcomes, identify weaknesses, and refine approaches. This feedback loop ensures that preparation is purposeful rather than mechanical. By reflecting privately, you strengthen your understanding of your own capabilities, enhancing self-trust and resilience. Each cycle of preparation and reflection compounds into lasting confidence. Facing challenges privately is another key aspect. By simulating difficult situations, anticipating problems, and rehearsing responses in solitude, you desensitize yourself to pressure. Small mistakes become lessons, and uncertainty becomes manageable. Over time, your mind becomes conditioned to respond calmly and strategically, rather than with panic or hesitation. Public situations no longer test your confidence, they merely reveal it. Small, consistent acts of preparation also build momentum. When you practice regularly, internalize skills and refine strategies, each effort compounds. Confidence grows invisibly, yet its effects manifest powerfully when needed. When your public presence becomes steady, poised, and authoritative, not because you are inherently fearless, but because your private groundwork has been thorough and deliberate. Consider authenticity in preparation. When your confidence is built through private readiness rather than public display, you act according to capability, not to impress. Your actions align with your skill, judgment, and understanding. This authenticity is compelling and magnetic, silently demonstrating competence and poise without reliance on performance or validation. Resilience is strengthened through preparation as well. Each private rehearsal, reflection, and practice encounter builds the mental and emotional endurance required to handle setbacks. You learn that challenges are temporary, mistakes are opportunities, and consistency produces mastery. By investing in preparation privately, you create confidence that is self-sustaining and resistant to external pressures. Notice the subtle difference in public behavior when preparation is thorough. Decisions are quicker, responses are calm, and hesitation diminishes. Public confidence is not constructed on the spot. It emerges naturally from the unseen hours, days, and months of preparation that have fortified your internal foundation. This is the silent power of readiness. Now, reflect on your personal habits. How often do you prepare quietly, anticipate challenges, and practice responses in solitude? Each act of private preparation strengthens your competence, reinforces self-trust, and ensures that your confidence is genuine rather than performative. Over time, these efforts create the calm, assured presence that others perceive as effortless mastery. Finally, remember this: preparation is not about perfection, recognition, or immediate results. It is about consistent, deliberate effort that builds evidence of capability within yourself. Confidence cultivated through private preparation is resilient, steady, and authentic. It allows you to act decisively, handle uncertainty, and navigate challenges with poise. The silent work you perform in preparation becomes the foundation for every visible display of unshakable confidence. Chapter 9: The Role of Reflection in Strengthening Confidence. Do you realize how much clarity, insight, and self-assurance comes from taking the time to reflect? Reflection is the quiet, private act of examining your thoughts, actions, and experiences to extract lessons, identify patterns, and reinforce your internal authority. It is often overlooked, yet reflection is one of the most powerful tools for building confidence that endures. Without it, competence may grow, but self-trust remains fragile. Think about your own experiences. How often do you pause to review your decisions, successes, and failures in solitude? Reflection allows you to recognize the progress you've made, understand your missteps, and refine your approach. Every moment spent thinking critically about your choices strengthens your judgment, reinforces self-trust, and ensures that confidence grows from genuine capability rather than temporary performance. Notice how public confidence differs when it is supported by private reflection. Without reflection, you rely solely on intuition or prior habit, which can falter under pressure. But when you regularly evaluate yourself, learn from experience, and adjust your approach, your confidence becomes informed, resilient, and adaptive. Reflection transforms experience into internal proof that you are capable, prepared, and reliable. Reflection is not passive. It is an active engagement with yourself. You ask questions like, what went well? What could I have done differently? How can I improve next time? Each question challenges your assumptions, clarifies your understanding, and strengthens your internal authority. Over time, this deliberate engagement fosters a calm, measured confidence that surfaces naturally in any situation. Consider how reflection intersects with discipline. Every act of self-analysis reinforces your capacity to act deliberately. By consistently reviewing your efforts, you identify strengths to leverage and weaknesses to address. This process builds a feedback loop in which each decision, action, and adjustment strengthens your competence and self-reliance. Confidence grows quietly as you observe yourself improving over time. Facing challenges without reflection is like walking in darkness. You may stumble, repeat mistakes, or feel unsteady because lessons are unexamined. Reflection illuminates your path, allowing you to learn from errors, celebrate progress, and adjust your approach intelligently. The insights gained in private create a framework for confident action that is invisible to the world but palpable in your behavior. Do you notice how often reflection reveals hidden patterns? Small behaviors, unnoticed habits, and subconscious responses can significantly affect your confidence. By analyzing these elements in private, you gain awareness and control. You begin to act intentionally rather than react automatically. This deliberate mastery transforms hesitation into poise, doubt into certainty, and anxiety into calm authority. Small, consistent reflective practices compound over time. Journaling, reviewing past decisions, meditating on challenges, or mentally rehearsing scenarios are all forms of reflection that reinforce your internal foundation. Each practice strengthens the trust you place in yourself, sharpens judgment, and prepares you for challenges that will inevitably arise. The cumulative effect is confidence that is deeply rooted and resilient. Reflection also enhances self-awareness. By understanding your motivations, triggers, and emotional responses, you can regulate yourself more effectively. This awareness allows you to act consistently, maintain composure, and make choices aligned with your principles. Confidence thrives when it is based on self-knowledge because you are less likely to be swayed by doubt, criticism, or unforeseen circumstances. Notice how reflection can prevent over-reliance on external validation. By turning inward, you learn to evaluate your actions based on your own standards, not others' opinions. This self-assessment builds internal proof that your abilities and judgment are reliable. Confidence is no longer contingent on recognition or applause. It comes from understanding that your competence is real, tested, and consistently reinforced in private. Another powerful dimension of reflection is perspective. By reviewing experiences with honesty and curiosity, you learn to distinguish between fleeting setbacks and meaningful growth opportunities. Reflection allows you to see challenges as training grounds rather than threats. This perspective nurtures calm, deliberate action and strengthens the resilience underlying public confidence. Finally, consider how reflection integrates with all the other elements of private confidence. Discipline, preparation, facing fear, consistent actions. All these practices are amplified when paired with deliberate introspection. Reflection ensures that every effort contributes to growth, self-trust, and unshakable confidence. The unseen work of reviewing, analyzing, and learning transforms competence into internal authority that is effortless, authentic, and enduring. Now reflect on your own habits. How often do you take time to examine your experiences and learn from them? Each moment of private reflection is a step towards strengthening self-trust, refining competence, and building the quiet, resilient confidence that will surface naturally in public moments. Confidence is not an accident. It is the result of deliberate, continuous reflection paired with consistent private action. Chapter 10: Sustaining Confidence Through Private Mastery. Do you realize that confidence is not a destination, but a continuous journey? It is not built once and left untouched. It is sustained through ongoing private practice, reflection, and mastery of yourself. By now, you understand that the most powerful forms of confidence are invisible, silent, and cultivated away from public view. Chapter 10 brings everything together. He's showing how you maintain and elevate confidence by committing to private mastery over time. Consider your daily life. Each choice, each small habit, each deliberate action contributes to your internal authority. By consistently engaging in private work, whether it is practicing a skill, reflecting on decisions, facing fear, or preparing for challenges, you are reinforcing the foundation of confidence. This work accumulates silently, compounding into a self-sustaining reservoir of trust in your abilities. Notice how easily confidence can falter without continuous private effort. Even the most self-assured individuals experience moments of doubt when they neglect their routines, habits, or self-reflection. Confidence is not static. It requires ongoing investment. By committing to private mastery, you ensure that your confidence remains resilient even under pressure, criticism, or uncertainty. Sustaining confidence also requires awareness. Regularly evaluate your habits, choices, and patterns. Identify areas of strength and areas that need reinforcement. This ongoing awareness allows you to act intentionally rather than reactively. You maintain control over your growth and development, ensuring that your confidence remains grounded in reality, not illusion. Consistency is crucial. The invisible habits you have built, discipline, preparation, facing fear, reflection, and repeated practice, must be maintained and strengthened over time. Small, deliberate actions performed daily reinforce internal proof of capability. Every repetition strengthens neural pathways, habits, and patterns, creating automatic competence that manifests effortlessly in public situations. Private mastery also fosters resilience. Life will continue to present challenges, unexpected events, and moments of pressure. By maintaining consistent private practice, you build a mental and emotional framework capable of handling these situations with calm, deliberate action. Confidence becomes an enduring tool, not a fragile state dependent on circumstances. Do you notice how internal authority transforms public presence? The more you master yourself privately, the less external pressures affect your demeanor. You respond rather than react. You act decisively, calmly, and with clarity. This effortless public confidence is not performative. It is the natural reflection of countless hours of unseen preparation, discipline, and self-reliance. Reflection remains essential even in sustained mastery. Continuous review of your actions, choices, and experiences ensures that you learn and grow, avoiding stagnation. Reflection turns repetition into improvement, allowing you to refine strategies, strengthen habits, and reinforce trust in your abilities. Confidence grows quietly in the background, anchored by deliberate insight. Facing new challenges privately is a cornerstone of sustained confidence. Each new skill practiced, fear confronted, or problem solved strengthens your internal authority. By repeatedly proving to yourself that you can handle discomfort, uncertainty, and pressure, you create a mindset in which confidence is automatic, not performative. The world sees composure, but you know the countless private efforts that made it possible. Notice how accountability to yourself strengthens private mastery. By setting standards, tracking progress, and honoring commitments, even when no one is watching, you reinforce trust in your judgment and capability. Each act of accountability builds the internal scaffolding upon which enduring confidence rests. Adaptability is another crucial component. As circumstances change, challenges evolve, and demands increase, your confidence must remain flexible yet grounded. Private mastery allows you to anticipate change, adjust strategies, and respond effectively. This adaptability ensures that confidence is not static or brittle, but resilient and dynamic, ready for any situation. Small, consistent reinforcement ensures sustainability. Confidence does not require dramatic achievements, public validation, or constant reinforcement from others. It thrives on the quiet accumulation of disciplined practice, deliberate reflection, preparation, and self-trust. Each small effort, repeated over time, solidifies competence and resilience, producing a lasting sense of assurance. Finally, internal mastery cultivates authenticity. Confidence sustained through private effort is genuine, rooted in capability rather than performance. Your actions reflect skill, judgment, and self-trust, not the need to impress or perform. Authentic confidence inspires quiet authority, respect, and presence, emerging naturally in every interaction and decision. Now, reflect on your own life. Which private practices, habits, or routines will you commit to sustaining over the long term? Each deliberate effort is an investment in enduring confidence, a quiet demonstration of your capacity, and a continuous reinforcement of self-trust. By prioritizing private mastery, you ensure that your confidence is resilient, authentic, and unshakable, ready to navigate any challenge, opportunity, or moment with poise. The silent truth is this: confidence is built in private, maintained through continuous effort, and revealed effortlessly in public. By committing to private mastery, through discipline, preparation, facing fear, consistent practice, reflection, and self-trust, you create a reservoir of unshakable authority. This confidence is not temporary, performative, or dependent on others. It is enduring, authentic, and entirely yours. You now understand the framework of silent confidence. It is not something granted, borrowed, or inherited. It is earned, reinforced, and then sustained through consistent private effort. Every choice you make, every habit you maintain, and every reflection you engage in contributes to a lifelong foundation of assurance. When you operate from this foundation, the world sees not just competence, but the quiet, unshakable power that comes from knowing your own worth, abilities, and resilience.